Hello everyone, welcome to my channel where I make blue things and talk about my artistic and scholarly life. I have been thinking about starting a YouTube channel for 5 years now and making jokes about it to my friends and colleagues. I am finally putting all my fears and doubts aside to step onto this journey. To create this video, I had to make a few attempts before I was able to record successfully from beginning to end. On the first try, I dropped an entire container of white paint that was mixed with water. Yes, it was very runny and covered a third of my studio's floor. It almost ruined my favorite pants too. I had to spend almost an hour just cleaning up the unnecessary mess I created. And by the time I cleaned up the fiasco, I was too tired to keep going. So I had to call it a day and go home and come back for a second try. The second time, I forgot to charge my camera batteries. And I think there was another time when I left my memory card at home. Yeah, typical me. Long story short, I managed to record on the fourth attempt and it took me 3 weeks because I did a zillion other things in between. In the meantime, I have been contemplating the thought that being an artist is painful. The pain comes in many forms. I cried a few times during and after watching the Andy Warhol Diaries on Netflix. I watched it a few months ago, but its effect has lingered with me. I thought about why it made me cry and why it touched me so deeply. I guess the main reason was how it represents that side of Warhol that was not commonly known to others. I knew the side of Warhol that was the leader of the pop art movement, mostly through his widely shared and known pop art paintings, such as the famous Campbell's soup cans, but I didn't know much about his other works, including performance arts, films, installation arts, and writings. The series does a great job, in my opinion, portraying Andy's growth from moving to New York to pursue a career as a commercial artist to opening his own studio called The Factory and slowly establishing his pop art empire and blurring the established lines between conceptual art and commercial art. This is a task that I believe many artists struggle with throughout their professional career. This task can turn into an existential question, and that's when the pain begins. I see many ads on my Instagram and Facebook feeds about how to become a full time artist. This simple question can create tornadoes in the lives of many artists. Surviving as an artist in this time is hard. Some might argue it's easier than centuries ago, but still, I believe the struggle is real. And it's painful to make art and survive financially as an artist, or to be more specific, it's painful to be a full time conceptual artist. As a conceptual artist, you may think and make art in ways that may not always lead to a finished product that you can get paid for based on today's capitalistic values and standards. You may spend countless hours working on an idea, and what happens? You may not even be able to share the work with an audience in ways that you or your work deserves. I am sure we all have many works that didn't receive the attention they were worthy of and are tucked back in our virtual or physical closets. And this is just a tiny, very tiny fraction of the pain, which is mostly about being able to support yourself, your work, or your ideas financially. That's why you see artists engaging in various forms of artful activities, from making to teaching, and not all of these activities may fully align with their passions. They just simply want to survive. The other form of pain is about the process of making art. You hear people say making art is very therapeutic, making art is relieving, it calms you down. But we don't hear enough about the doubts, fears, dissatisfactions, tears, and frustrations that artists experience when making art. We don't talk about, or we don't talk enough about the number of canvases we either hid behind our closets or beds or threw away after spending many hours painting on them. Let's not forget the numerous unfinished projects that get abandoned mostly because of not being able to go through the pain of finishing them. I remember that during my bachelor's program, I had a prof who could have one of several moods when showing up for classes. Sometimes he would come and just criticize all of the work we had done or were doing. And in between conversations, we would learn that he probably had a bad day in his studio, struggling with his own drawings. And over 3 years of taking his courses, I realized that he would sometimes erase countless hours of work by covering his delicate drawings on wood panels with a coat of white paint. The pain is real. The day after watching the last episode of the Andy Warhol Diaries, I grabbed a new notebook and felt the urge to do something as a response to the lingering feelings from learning about Warhol's life. On the first page, I wrote, "What does it take to become an artist?" I was thinking about Warhol's journey as an artist, especially in relation to his personal life and how he resisted revealing his vulnerability in his romantic life through his artistic practice. With this question, I am also considering why some artists become more famous and what it takes to become a famous artist in your time. I ended up Googling my question, and the results that showed up were very thought provoking, very exciting stuff. I started writing them down one by one, going through the result pages. I ended up writing down almost 120 questions in 12 pages. In another video, I may share the questions with you, the questions that brought weight and pain for me. As I get closer to the end of this video, I want to mention that I didn't mean to start my channel on a dark note. And this is more like a lifetime struggle that I am willingly going through. I also think that other professions come with their own forms of pain, and perhaps at the end of the day, we are the ones who choose our pains. I painted this vase with acrylic paint and added some collage pieces over the blue paint. I tried to look for pieces that had some blue color in them, and after adding all the components, the lines, the textures, and adding those little splashes of paint, I sealed the paint and the collage pieces with 2 layers of gloss medium. You see, on this vase, I wrote, "Being an artist is dangerous." At first, I wanted to write, "Being an artist is painful," but then I remembered Sarah in episode 4 of Station 11 series on HBO when she says, "We are artists and we are terrified." I like to think of the phrase, "being an artist is dangerous," as my response to the pain that we experience as artists. That's all for today. Let me know what you thought about this first video. I look forward to having a conversation with you all.